Well, that's a pretty good idea. Just cockblock Iron Maiden. That wouldn't go over well, would it?
Seattle grunge band Alice in Chains has had a very storied career. Alongside Nirvana, Soundgarden, and many others, they pioneered the groundbreaking, bluesy, hard rock, doom metalish sound of the very popular 90s rock subgenre called grunge. In the early to mid-90s, Alice in Chains had some great hits such as Rooster, Them Bones, Man in a Box, and many others. However, more so today, what they're really defined as is their perseverance, and by that I mean that despite the entire grunge scene collapsing around them, they are still here. The music is still fucking great, because unlike Limp Bizkit, Alice in Chains' music holds up better than the BDSM Alice in Wonderland porn that probably inspired it.
Though admittedly I do get aroused by the shrinkage.
In 2002, the band suffered a huge loss when lead singer Layne Staley passed away in 2002, which is something that has caused other great bands to throw in the towel. But Alice in Chains took a few years to grieve, but then continued touring and making albums as normal, or at least as normal as a band could given the circumstances. Instrumentally, the band has remained unchanged since the year 1993. Jerry Cantrell, Sean Kinney, and Mike Inez still have their A game and can put together some crazy groovy riffs, but since Sale's passing, they recruited a new singer in William Duvall, who is very reminiscent of Layne's singing style, and has allowed Alice in Chains to stay true to their sound and add some good songs to their discography in some of the new albums, that in some cases really does stack up and compare well to their earlier material. However, with the band's 6th album and 3rd LP with Duvall on vocals, it feels as if the stacking amount of losses over the years has really added up for the band, all culminating in Chris Cornell's tragic suicide just a couple years ago, whose band Soundgarden kicked off the Seattle grunge scene alongside Alice in Chains. And this is important to use as a reference point when listening to Alice in Chains' new album Rainier Fog, which really does work as a tribute for the late grunge icon, as you can hear on the opening track, The One You Know. The opening riff on The One You Know hits you like an alarm that's warning you that tragedy is incoming, as if someone you love is in danger, or even if you're about to spill your morning coffee. Duvall's melancholic voice fits the down in the dumps sort of feel perfectly, but it's the lyricism in the chorus line that makes me just have to come back to The One You Know every time I spin this record. It's just such a somber cry for help, and is sonically melancholic as if it were the world's saddest song on the world's most badass air guitar, which is something that can also be said about this entire album and listening experience. As you go from track to track, it eventually becomes clear that the guitar work on Rainier Fog is tuned to sound similar to some of Soundgarden's earlier albums, which I mean that sounds rougher around the edges. For Alice in Chains fans, don't worry, this still sounds like Alice in Chains, but with a harsher aesthetic, which is a pretty damn good listen, I gotta say.
Goddamn right.
If there is one drawback, it's that some of the more ballady songs aren't as memorable as some in the band's past. Like, I'm not saying that every track has to sound like The Rooster or No Excuses in terms of quality, because that's just fucking impossible to be that good consistently. Songs like Fly and Maybe just could have been a bit more memorable. With that said, of the last 3 albums with Duvall as lead vocals, I found Rainier Fog to be among the best. While I do still like Black Gives Way to Blue and The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here, overall Rainier Fog is a tighter endeavor than their other LPs. The guitars hit heavy, the production has an edge, the vocals are terrifically depressive, and most importantly, the fact that this feels like a Soundgarden tribute ensures that Rainier Fog has a lot of heart.